Hi there. This is about white magic using talismans, talismanic magic, as one might say. The background to this is that, and following a video I did about this topic, in fact, um, I have recently been sent uh, a sigil by a YouTube user, and I was really surprised because it was actually a hallmarked silver medallion, about, I don't know, half an inch across in diameter, and containing the sigil in question, which I can't actually show at the moment because it's being used for another project and because, well, it's still a kind of in the realms of private discourse rather than in the public domain. But if it ever does come available in a public way, then I'll share it with you. But so I got this talisman, and it kind of felt like I was being initiated into some kind of esoteric order. But an esoteric order consisting of just six people, because there are only six sigils, as far as I know, that are being used in this system. But presumably each member will be given one of these talismans to wear and to indeed to use. So not a big group, which is nice. So this appeals to my romantic inclination towards esoteric groups and my fascination with them. But as you know, I don't like cults and groups and lodges and churches and what have you, because A, they demand commitment from me, and I'm just too lazy to give that commitment. And B, they can lead to intolerance and pettiness amongst the hierarchy, which soon develops, by the way, even in the most anarchist of groups. So I suppose if I'm an anarchist, I kind of like work on my own, really, and not even very keen on one-to-one discourse either. Which is why YouTube, flawed as it is, I suppose suits my purposes for the moment anyway. Although I don't like YouTube for obvious reasons, and I don't really wish to do many more videos here. Um, Although I seem to be kind of obsessed with doing videos in actual fact, which is not good. Anyway, be that as it may, the use of talismans in magic is, of course, very ancient, and I haven't actually used a talisman for many decades, in fact. I'm making this video before I actually start work on this particular sigil or talisman that I've been given. And they do say that that the best magical tools are the ones that you're actually given by somebody else, rather than are sort of uh, made by, well. And then the second best is made by yourself, by your own hands. And the third best is to find a talisman in some kind of charity shop or thrift shop, as you call them in the USA. And all this, and then the least of all is to actually buy a talisman online or something. I mean, still effective, but not as effective as actually being given a talisman to work with by somebody else, with whom you have a connection on the spiritual level. So they're kind of like the best talismans to work with. Anyway, be that as it may, we're talking about white magic here, which of course follows Dion Fortune's definition of magic being the art of changing consciousness in conformity with will, and we'll come on to what the definition of will means in this case as well. Anyway, so basically, you lie on the floor, on your back, or on the bed on your back, so that you can put the talisman on your forehead, or on the anya, or on the anya chakra, to put it in sort of new age terms. Nothing to do with, I don't think, with chakras anyway. But anyway, it's symbolic of the forehead and the third eye. and the third eye is supposed to be opened up by the spirit of the talisman, or the magic of the talisman, however you want to see it. So there you are on your back with this little silver or gold or precious gem disc on your head, or things like that, really, or made from a shell or other media, other materials, doesn't really matter. And the sigil is there. And basically, you can do well before you do this. Put it on your forehead. You should do like some kind of grounding ritual, or thought experiment where you ground yourself into the earth. Following the rule of Gnosticism, which is root, as well, very important root. And you might also do the 7 cleansing breaths as well, which I think I've covered. You can look them up. 7 cleansing breaths, which is good. You bring the white light down into your body and psychic shells or shelves, shells, layers, I suppose one might say. You cleanse all 7 layers of your psyche. Again, all this is, I suppose, could be either taken literally or symbolically. It doesn't really matter. Whatever your pleasure. And you basically enter, you relax with a talisman on your head. And the thing about it, the big thing about it, is when I was making this video, or thinking about making this video, the YouTube algorithm found me a video on Zen, Zazen meditation, or sitting meditation, Buddhist sitting meditation, in which the monk there was talking about no expectation. So you enter into the field of no expectation. So you're not looking for enlightenment or even emptying the mind. You're not looking to do that. You're just sitting there with no expectation that anything will happen. So your bowl is empty and you're not expecting it to be filled. And of course, the monk was saying this is immediately a contradiction, because if you're sitting there in sitting meditation, you're expecting it by definition. So you've got to kind of let go of expectation whilst you're expecting something to happen. And so it is here. You've put the talisman on your forehead and you're on your back, which is not something you do every day. Well, I suppose when we're going to sleep, I spend a lot of time on my back because I'm so lazy. But anyway, so you're lying there, and you're going into no expectation of anything, and yet you are, for all intents and purposes, you look like someone expecting something. So the bowl is the begging bowl is on the street, and you're behind the begging bowl. So you're expecting alms to be given to you, but at the same time, you should not expect alms to be given to you. Not because you're unworthy, because the flip side of unworthiness is a feeling of worthiness, and so spiritual pride arises from that. And you're also, the thing is that the divine is unconditional love, so it's going to pour into you. It's just that you have a genuine need. If you have a genuine need for this to happen, and yet at the same time you're not expecting anything to happen, then this is sort of defines what is meant by the magical will, which is independent and free of expectation, and doesn't expect results and doesn't expect to be given anything. That alms bowl could be left empty by the people passing you by, or it can be filled by passers-by who recognise you as being a holy man, and therefore worthy or meritorious to give you alms, if that is the case. Of course, in the West, you wouldn't get any. Nobody would look at you as a holy man. They would just look at you as a hobo. So I'm talking about India here, where there's lots of holy men everywhere, genuine and not genuine. And you give alms to a holy man because it's meritorious to do so, spiritually meritorious. But in the West, of course, we don't have any spirituality much. Certainly not for people with begging bowls in the street. So basically, in a sense, the West is better because you have if you're thinking about your begging bowl in front of you, you're very unlikely to get anything in the begging bowl. And people just going to say you're a hobo and a scrounger and a welfare scrounger and all that. So, and they're going to say, well, you're quite a rich person, really. You're just pretending to be a beggar, which is sometimes the case, actually, in big cities in the West, unfortunately. But anyway, so, in the West, I guess you don't have any expectation. There's a terrible story, actually, of dogs, stray dogs in Beijing. And they just sit there with their heads down, starving to death, hoping somebody will give them some food, and nobody ever does because, they're just like vermin on the streets. And they just sit there starving with their heads down, hoping somebody, as I say, hoping someone will take pity on them, and nobody ever does. So in a way, you're a bit like that dog, really. I mean, you don't really even expect to be given unconditional love, and yet the Gnostic religion tells you that you indeed will be given unconditional love, and so you go into the no expectation zone, you go into the genuine need zone, because this isn't something that is frivolous, and yet again another contradiction. You are sort of being playful with the universe. You're sort of playing a game in a way. I mean, not like sort of with a Ouija board or just adolescents playing with a Ouija board. Not like that, really. Although they do get results because they do have this sort of playful attitude, and also they're not expecting anything to happen. They're just fooling about, really. So you've got to have this kind of funny attitude that you're not expecting anything to happen. You have a genuine need for something to happen, like the poor dogs in Beijing have a need for food, and yet also you've got this kind of relaxed playfulness about you as well. So it's kind of a difficult door to go through. Difficult to go under the sort of difficult to get everything the balance right. But if you get the balance right in your mind, then you become open to unconditional love and the spirit of the talisman. And when you come down from this no expectation zone, you may very well find one of four things, or more of four things happen to you. One of four things, you could get some kind of insight into the mysteries of the sigil. It could impart knowledge about its origins and and what's going to happen to it and what's going to happen to you in relation to the talisman. So there's kind of like knowledge or gnosis kind of pops into your mind, and intellectual insights occur when you're coming down from the state. Sometimes you get a feeling, a fuzzy feeling of comfort and solace, especially if you have a need for that, and the unconditional love pours through the talisman, the spirit of the talisman, or the magic of the talisman, and pervades you and envelops you with comfort and solace. The food of spirituality, indeed, when life becomes meaningful again, having lost its meaning somehow. And then you could sometimes your intuition becomes more acute, and you have a gut feeling about something, or a gut feeling about yourself or another person, even to the extent of prophecy. I never forget that the time when I had this vision of all the Kuwait oil fields burning during the first Iraqi war, when Saddam Hussein ordered all the Kuwait oil fields to be set alight, rather than to fall into the Western hands, and in a thoroughly horrible act of literal scorched earth, and taking all that oil and burning it, terrible thing. So I had this prophet. I could see all the burning oil fields, and this is before it actually happened. So sometimes you get the gift of prophecy, which is very interesting. Not that I could do anything about it, but just to be informed, as if I didn't already know, that the war and the pity of war, and the terror and the awfulness of war. And and sometimes obstacles. Sometimes they're literally removed by miracle, or sometimes it's just simply that your perception has changed, and you think instead of looking at something as an obstacle, you think it as an opportunity. And so sometimes you're thinking about an obstacle in life or a problem, and it becomes like it becomes an opportunity to grow, rather than an obstacle to be removed. So I say obstacles removed, sometimes just the perception of obstacles that is removed. And all this can happen to you, well, one or more of these things can happen to you, as a result of contacting the spirit of the talisman, as it were, in quotation marks, going into the zone of no expectation, genuine need, relaxed playfulness. All three of these things come together, and as you're coming down from this sort of state of emptiness, empty mind, as the Zen Buddhists would say, you may receive information or have a feeling of comfort, or have a gut feeling about something, or basically have the feeling that an obstacle in life is about to be removed, literally, or simply in terms of your perception. So, um, and again, all these things arise from a changed state of consciousness. So you enter into you have a state of you're in a state of consciousness to begin with, and you put the talisman on your forehead, and it results in a change of consciousness, and it can go perhaps 4 different ways, but it could also go in no ways at all, and you can have like just the feeling of no expectation of you could experience the Buddhist emptiness, and that would be and perhaps should be enough as a result of this talismanic work. So again, we're beware of spiritual materialism. I mean, we're not seeking some kind of attainment, like you can pin a medal on your chest and say I did it, or wear the T-shirt. You're not interested in wearing T-shirts or medals, or initiatory grades, or some kind of advancement in the esoteric order or something like that. All that is nothing to do with the magical will. The magical will is free of all that kind of stuff, all the stuff of this universe, all the things that we think matter, which don't matter. And we learn to let go of all these expectations, of all this, grandeur and rewards, and people thinking we're wonderful, and all that. We let go of all that, and we are just in the here and now, as I've discussed on this channel many times, which is indeed perhaps all that we actually have. And all these things that come down to us, all these insights and obstacles being removed, etc. This is just to kind of demonstrate the power of the divine love, and the transcendental God. All these things, everything that is miraculous, and the healing side of things, and changing of point of views, and peace coming from nowhere and stuff like that. All these things are just to demonstrate the power of the transcendental God, which is ultimately greater than the power of the demiurge, and the power of all these things that matter to us, and all the things that are matter of matter, because Jesus descends into the realm of materialism and material things, and he shines in the middle of this, and miracles happen around him. But it's not the miracles that are important. It's what they symbolize that is important, and they symbolize eventual and permanent transcendence. So anyway, all this really is part of what I call genuine talismanic magic, and I think that you are given these talismans, and the spirit inspires you to come up with talismans and create talismans, in order to um, reassemble the light that has been lost through the descent of soul into the lower worlds. And that's really what this is all about, I think.